everybody. This is Teen Title Talk with Erin.
And Courtney.
This is the podcast
where two librarians discuss two YA books every 2 weeks.
Today we'll be talking about the two books, Her Royal Highness by Rachel Hawkins
and If I'm Being Honest by Emily Wibberley and Austin Siegemund-Broka. But before that, we have to get in touch with our teen selves.
Yes, and we had talked about reading our something from our high school journals.
Yes, and praise the gods, but I couldn't find mine. Actually, no, I was really frustrated because I couldn't. And
I was not frustrated.
I tore the house apart.
So we know somebody's stolen Courtney's high school journals to, use against her at some point in her life. And I'm delighted because every single piece I read out of mine, I was mortified. Even reading it to myself, I was blushing. So I'm glad that we don't have to talk about how one time I thought I was going to become a nun or anything like that.
I think I wrote about that too.
I was like, I'll pick this part because it's so far from me now. But, okay. We don't want to go there.
No, it's all right. We can skip it all together.
All right. So let's go to the next teen angst question. Mm-hmm. What would you encourage your teen self to do knowing what you know now?
Oh, boy. I would encourage my teen self to not be so afraid of embarrassing yourself or, failing.
Okay.
Not being afraid to look stupid sometimes. Because it's okay not to know how to do everything and not to be perfect.
And we're pros at that now.
Oh, yeah. I make a fool of myself all the time, and it's okay.
Because who cares?
Yeah, we're all I just wish I knew that everyone is in the process of becoming. And if people laugh at you,
that's
whatever. That's their problem.
Who cares?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think anybody was ever trying to tell you that and you were just like, ears?
Gosh, my whole family. I took myself very seriously as a middle schooler and a high schooler. I had a good sense of humor about everything except myself.
Gotcha.
So, if I don't know, tripped in the parking lot, or if I got a bad grade in something that I thought I was good at, or I was afraid to go out for things that I knew I didn't know how to do. So I wasn't in band because I didn't know how to play an instrument.
Right.
And I thought you already kind of had to know how.
Right.
So I didn't join. But turns out that's how people learn how to play.
I know. I had that same thing where, oh my gosh, aren't I supposed to know how to do this?
Yeah.
And then that would stop me from actually getting things done ever.
So
that's a good one, Courtney.
What about you?
I think I would tell myself that I didn't have to constantly one-up people on, I don't know, just anything stupid. That's the thing. It was always something stupid. It wasn't I'm going to one-up that person on getting A's. Because that never happened. I occasionally got an A. Mostly C's and B's. But it was always something stupid, I'm going to drive faster than that person. Or I'm going to do something more daring than that person, which resulted in something
to prove?
Always. If someone made fun of me, I would one-up them, sort of on the making fun of. I could be more self-deprecating than any person.
Is kind of like having a dance battle, though.
That's true.
You're always trying to.
I'm you made fun of me. I can make fun of myself even more.
Ooh,
not the other person.
That's not super healthy,
it's not great. Not great, no. It's not. It's pretty bad. So, yeah, I'd say probably that, cool your jets. That's what I would say. And they would laugh at me because that's an old person thing to say. Cool your jets?
It's a really old person thing to say. You wouldn't have listened to yourself.
No.
You would have been all right, old lady. I'm out of here.
Drive away over something.
Yes, and to myself, I would have said, you don't understand what it's like.
That's right.
But I do, and you do.
That's right, because we're old now and we've lived through it.
Yeah.
So,
well.
That's life.
It's the curse of being young.
Let's do this library life question. What is one of the coolest things you've ever found in the archives, digital or physical?
Oh, I wasn't thinking I could do digital. That's a good point.
Because it's still, we have digitized so many archives now.
It's true. And actually, there's a lot that you can find yourself, online. So this isn't necessarily an archive item, but Google has this really cool program. Of course, I can't think of what it's called, but you can go visit like ancient places.
Cool.
And you can do like 360 looks on like Google Maps, basically. Right. But it's like Google Maps plus museums or something. Yes. And you can use it to go visit ruins and everything. And you can put on your little like virtual reality goggles and like you feel like you're really there.
That's really cool.
That's really cool. I think I went, where did I go with that? It was like some like the pyramids.
And you can look all around with those virtual reality glasses, and you can.
You can, and there's people because it uses like the Google like thingy. So there's like people there when the guy was there doing the camera.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So it was really fun.
All right, I gotta check that out.
That is cool. But like one of the things, I think, I'm trying to think of a cool thing that I may have found myself. You know. A lot of people would come to that desk and ask about, like, family stuff. And so I can't think of anything particular, but I did always like helping people find, like, where the plot in the graveyard is.
And we have
families
the book, and because Abby did that whole digitization, so we can look. That helped me a lot the other day when I was helping somebody find a gravestone, because they were wandering around the graveyard.
That's a huge graveyard.
In the Forest Hill Cemetery. And so once we found out what plot they were in, we were able to get them there.
Yeah.
It was like geocaching, but with a human.
That's cool.
Remains.
Human remains. All right, that one's weird.
Not great.
Have you found something cool before?
Well, I was thinking, because I always like, don't want to share too much of patron stories because,
True.
you know,
privacy.
That's privacy. But people come in always looking for, you know, different obituaries and articles, and sometimes we find things about people in the Derry news.
Yep.
You know, I've looked up things about people who have, say, drowned in Scobie Pond. And different
mysteries.
Yeah, different little mysteries. But
little local ones.
Yeah, all the local ones. I love that stuff. And the one I was looking for, because I love doing my own genealogy, and one that, as I was going through my family history, you know.
Keep going.
I traced it kind of back a couple generations. I mean, I've traced it back to England on both sides. But on the Dainty side, I had traced it back to this big family. And then I hit some like incarceration records.
Ooh.
So someone had gone to prison.
Debtor's prison? Or for doing something bad?
For doing something very bad.
Oh.
I mean, there were those kind of things as well. Like defaulting on the taxes or whatever. No, for doing something very bad. And so I had asked my grandma if she remembered anything. She couldn't remember very much of it, but because it was before her time. But that there was a story that had been told that there was a murder and the dad took the fall for the brother. And he is in the records as incarcerated. But that means they let a murderer around on the loose.
Did he ever murder again?
I don't know. Maybe.
Well, if he didn't, maybe he got better.
Oh my God, I don't know.
What? That's crazy.
That's
family
crazy.
story.
Oh, yeah, there's so many.
Is that in England that happened?
No. That was but there was one later who was over in England he had like 4 wives who died. And I was like,
that sounds mysterious.
This sounds like a legacy, guys. My family and murderers. Yeah, it was bad.
That's the Dainties?
Yeah.
You wouldn't think with that
They weren't.
name.
It was just down that line. It wasn't like, I don't know if their last name was Dainty or if it was another one, but it was, it's scary when you start looking back. That's scary.
But this reminds me of a story, actually. Yes. When I first started doing genealogy for my own family, one of the most exciting things I found was a picture of the ship that my grandfather sailed over on from Italy.
That's really cool.
30s. That was cool. He was just a little kid.
That's really cool.
And so that was cool.
And he did it. He was in the records. It's not like he was stowing away in the...
No, he was real. He was in the record. Came over with his mom, and then... Well, his dad came first, and then he went over with his mom.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So that's interesting, because then I had, again on the Dainty side, was when we came to England, our ancestor... I'm trying to think of her name, and Grandma would know it, but I can't remember it. Atwood was her last name. She was an indentured servant of a family, and she came over with them.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and so we have that family history, and I still have relatives in England who sometimes come to the family reunion.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a cool
Because they started to
family
connect
reunion.
each other. Like, oh, okay.
I should do like 23andMe
I know,
or
we
something.
should. Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Because it will connect you. Or Ancestry.com also has that,
Oh, yeah.
where they'll start connecting you through the family tree and say, hey, you're third cousins to this person who's also
That's
an
so
Ancestry
cool.
database.
So
It's a
what's
little creepy,
frustrating
too.
about, like, I'm always hitting roadblocks because at some point my ancestors were not speaking English.
Right.
And I don't speak French and I
Right.
don't speak Italian.
Right.
And so without
You look at a
someone to help
manuscript
me,
and it's
it's
like,
hard to figure out, like, oh, well, this church has birth
No.
records in Italy for all these people, but, like, what am I looking at?
I know, when you're
don't
trying to find
know.
their name, though, you could try to scan
Yeah,
for that,
that's
but that
true.
is hard. You'd need a little help. So, all
But
right,
anyway,
well, it's
that
fun.
was a
Yeah,
long time
I know,
talking
sorry.
about that. Sorry,
But
it's
then
really
again,
exciting.
it is fun. And you can always come into the library and look at Ancestry.com, which we have. We also have American Ancestors. We're always happy to look stuff up in the, Derry, New Hampshire
yeah, and
obituary database.
Yes, I think it's also really important to remember that, like, wherever your people are from, there was probably a library. Like, if they're from some rando town in America, there is a library there that probably has some record on them. So you can call that library and be
That's
like,
true.
hey.
Even if it isn't digitized.
Exactly.
you
It'd
can
be like, do
hopefully
you
call and
have
get
any
a copy.
obituaries or old newspaper clippings
Mhm.
or whatever? Yeah.
Exactly.
Fun.
Awesome. All right. So let's talk about books. Tell me about, what was it called again?
It's called If I'm Being Honest.
Yes. Tell me about it. What was it about?
All right.
I'm cringing. All right.
Okay. Well, don't cringe
I know.
necessarily.
All right.
Maybe. Okay.
It's just a comparison. Go ahead.
I know. So there's the main character named Cameron Bright, who at first glance is terrible.
Mm-hmm.
She's a quintessential mean girl. She says what she thinks to your face,
Mm-hmm.
and she's really blunt, and she calls people pathetic losers,
Okay.
and, like the whole thing. She's rude, she's mean. She thinks that her honesty is an asset, and, like, she's helping people
Mhm.
by telling them the honest horribleness of their lives.
Oh my God. what?
She, like, knows it hurts people, but she thinks she's doing them a favor. So she goes to an elite California prep school,
Okay.
but she herself is not necessarily well off, although all of her friends are.
Mhm.
She lives in an apartment with her mom, and her mom can never, like, hold down a job for one reason or another. So she has this, like, secret life, basically, that nobody knows about because all of her friends have, like, yachts and
That's
are
where her
YouTube
bitterness
stars
is
and
coming
whatever.
through. Her bitterness.
I guess so. She does, yeah. Well, actually, her bitterness is from her dad, who is,
Okay.
like, this jerky East Coast guy who is rich and he doesn't care about her. He just, like, wants her to be the best so that he can have,
Got
like,
it.
a trophy daughter
Got it.
type thing.
Got it.
So, of course, there's, like, a love interest, and the love interest catches Cameron being a meanie. And then he's like, you're mean, so maybe when you can be less mean, I'll like you.
Okay. Got it. though.
And so she kind of, like, decides to make amends with the person she was mean to.
Sure.
And then slowly her list starts to grow of all the ways she can sort of make herself better.
Okay.
So, like, apologizing to people that she's hurt, helping people get popular, various other.
The thing is, how could she be that
things.
popular if she was that mean? That's what I don't. Okay, but never mind.
Yeah,
We're just going to sidestep
so-
that.
She's determined to win him back. It sort of ends up working, actually. But then
Okay.
she decides maybe that's not the direction her life is going anymore.
I got
so
it.
there's some twists and turns.
Okay. All
A
right.
lot of romance. Anyway,
Okay,
that's
cool.
it. That's
All
about
right.
it.
All right. So, and I read Her Royal Highness, which is about Millie, who is a super smart kid, high schooler. She loves geology. She also loves this girl named Jude. And at the beginning, these two are, kind of secretly a thing. But then Jude's old flame appears back in their
Oh.
lives, and Millie's heart subsequently gets broken.
Mhm.
And so then she decides, because she's been given this opportunity to go to this beautiful school in Gregerston, Scotland.
Ah,
She decides,
Gregerston.
she decides to take it, and she goes there, and she ends up rooming with Scotland's princess.
Oh.
And sparks fly. Even though they're
Scotland.
totally, I don't know. I don't know. Does it really?
I don't know.
I didn't look up that.
It
info.
might. What do we know?
Probably. And so she, she ends up, falling in love with this princess.
Oh.
Even though the princess is very hard to like at the beginning, which we'll talk about. But it's pretty adorable. So let's talk about yours first, because right when you told me this one was compared to Taming of the Shrew, I was freaked out. So yes, and a lot of the synopses of this book, if I'm being honest, is compared to Taming of the Shrew, and that play makes me feel a whole lot of yuck, because if I remember, and correct me if I'm wrong, that's all about the guy, Petruchio, I think was how you pronounce that. I'm not sure. Maybe it's Petruchio. He tames Kate by withholding food and other essential needs till she becomes a more quote unquote ideal woman. Otherwise, aka obedient and likable. So I'm wondering, is that an apt comparison, or is that kind of not so much an apt comparison?
I will say it is apt because it's very clear that the authors are drawing significant parallels between Cameron and Kate.
Okay.
So one of the things that Cameron does in the book is in her English class, she's reading Taming of the Shrew.
Oh, okay.
And so throughout the whole book, she's writing this paper also that she has to keep rewriting as she discovers different things about or aspects of Kate. Basically, she sees herself as a Kate-ish character.
Okay.
Where
so she's seeing herself as that.
Yeah, she agrees. She's kind of a jerk. She's blunt. She just tells people whatever. She doesn't care what people think about her.
Okay.
Of course, she does care what people think about her. Otherwise, she wouldn't be trying to change herself.
Exactly.
So Andrew is her love interest. And it's not, he doesn't say, do these 5 things and I'll like you. He's just wow, you're a super jerk and I don't think I'm that into you anymore.
Okay.
And she kind of takes it on herself. Okay, well, Petruchio has these things that he does. So while I'm not going to starve myself, maybe I can make myself talk to some people that are social outcasts.
Got it. I don't know. I'm just not seeing the appeal, but.
So I did not like Taming of the Shrew either.
Oh my God, no.
Because I do find it problematic. And what's interesting about the book is that many of the characters do find Taming of the Shrew problematic.
Okay, good. So it's aware of that.
It's aware.
Yes, okay. Interesting.
Yes. So there's one part where Cameron is writing this paper, and the paper is about a villain redeemed or something.
Okay.
Kate is the villain.
All right.
And she gets better.
Got it.
And her friend flips out at her and is I don't understand why you would see this girl as the villain. She's being totally she's the victim here.
Got it.
And they have a giant fight about it.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
that maybe tends to help her with her evolution. So let's talk about that, because, when I'm thinking of main characters that are really difficult to read, Mean Girls is this quote unquote is a character who's a mean girl, right? She's just really mean to everybody. So what was your impression at the beginning of her? Did it change, and was it really hard to stay in there if you didn't like her?
I will admit that the first, I would say, quarter of the book was very hard.
Right.
Because she just, even though there are some layers to her character, there's her mom, and then there's her dad, and then there's also the relationship between her mom and her dad. There's her relationship between her and her dad, that do add and sort of inform her way of being.
Right.
But even with that, I still found her very unlikable.
Okay.
And so that was hard, but I think she's supposed to be unlikable.
Well, yeah, but did you want to just throw did you say at page 80, if I can't like this girl, I'm just gonna done? Or are you the reader who will just stick with it?
Well, I stick with it for this because I feel like I had to give it an honest shot if I'm going to review it.
Right, of course.
But, I probably, in another setting, would have been like, man.
Just depends on the mood. Like, if you want to stick with a character and watch them grow, though, they still have to be somewhat sympathetic.
That's true. I don't know, some of the situations seemed a little too contrived or like too stereotypically high school. Like she gave this kid Brendan a nickname, Barfy Brendan.
Oh,
everybody calls him BB now.
Oh,
and because he like threw up on her in 8th grade or something.
Right.
But it turns out he has celiac disease.
Poor guy.
I know.
That's pretty rough.
But I'm like, Barfy Brendan, really? Like, would anyone even... Is that real? Maybe it is. And, like, would that ruin your life? Like, he, like, doesn't have any friends anymore because some girl called him Barfy
Well, that kind of
Brendan.
leads into my next question, which is more of a rant, so you can totally skip it. But do you think Kates like this actually exist in real life? And if not, does this kind of tale just serve as a sort of cautionary anecdote to lots of normal girls who often hear that they need to be nice constantly and will likely reevaluate themselves in order to round out all those rough edges to please society or something like that? Or is that just me reading into this?
I think...
And are already having an agenda?
I think probably occasionally characters like this are... They're
out there.
There must be a person or two who is this.
That's true. Grating on the nerves.
Grating. But I think most people are just normal.
Yeah.
And not really mean. And if someone's real, like, I don't know. I have not come across too many people who would, like, never apologize to you if they hurt your feelings.
Right.
Or who would just straight up make your life miserable. I mean, she's not even a bully in that sense. She's just a bit like she's described as a bitch, and that's what she is. And I don't even like using that word because I'm very Leslie Knopish about it. But but that's how she's described, and that's how she describes herself. She's sort of like taken it on because she feels like that's her role.
Okay.
So she's not even truly. She really isn't even truly one, because eventually, as she starts to forgive, or not, as she starts to be forgiven. For stuff that she's done, and she at first is doing it just for Andrew, but then eventually she starts to do it because it feels good.
Exactly.
And she's like, oh wow,
So
well,
we
it kind of
see her
sucks
changing.
being mean all the time.
Yeah.
You do see her changing, and as you see her change, you're like, okay, well, that's better. I mean, like, we all make mistakes.
Yes,
we
of
all
course.
are mean.
Like,
sometimes.
you hit her at a rough patch in her life right here.
Right. We all are mean sometimes, and we don't always apologize, or we think somebody deserves that justified, maybe yes, maybe no anger.
Right.
But sustained jerkiness in that way, I'm not sure if there are that many people that exist. There are a few.
Oh, for sure.
Countries.
Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. Let's talk about this is written by 2 people. And I think it's tricky to write a novel, let alone write a novel with another person. I see from their online presence that these 2 write everything in the book together, and it's not like alternating chapters. So how does the writing feel? Can you sense more than one style? Is it smooth? Does it come together pretty
If I didn't know, I would not have known.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I wouldn't, like, the back flap has a little thing about them, and they're married.
Oh,
I know. They fell in love over a shared passion for Shakespeare. I know.
Do you think they had a passion for Taming of the Shrew, or they hated it? That's why they rewrote it kind of like with
You know
this
what?
twist.
That's a good question, and I would love to ask them that question. But maybe they just think Kate is misunderstood, which she is.
Gotcha.
But
sounds like you just have to be a patient reader to get in there.
Very.
All right. If you'd actually read it on the beach, would you have buried it in the sand, recommended it to a passerby, or thrown it at a seagull?
Ooh, I probably would not have recommended it. But I don't know. Like, to me, it's
it sounds like at the end you kind of liked it.
Yeah, that's true. I can really see teens liking it. It's just...
You and I are old.
I had a problem with Taming of the Shrew to begin with.
So you were already angsty in there?
I was.
Alrighty.
That's all. I would not throw it at a seagull.
Okay. For the seagull's sake.
No, it's not that bad.
All right.
All right. Okay, let's talk about your book.
Let's do it.
I really think it sounds fun. So,
yeah.
We have an obsession as a culture, or I think maybe it's cross-cultural, because like Cinderella stories abound
everywhere.
With royalty.
Yes.
Since most of us will never be royal or be in the 1% or whatever. I'm wondering what you think that keeps the storyline getting refreshed over and over again, because like it's a tale as old as time.
Yes, it is. I think that it's an aspirational story. And we love to think of like, oh my gosh, imagine if you were out there in a castle and had all these lovely things around you. What would it even be like?
That's true.
So I think that's interesting. And that's why, and we know that people love it so much because every time there's sort of an aspirational story like that.
Meghan Markle.
Right. We love it. We
I
wanna
do.
see it. But also, I was thinking there's stories that are the opposite, where it's like the royal wants a commoner's life.
Oh,
and then they get,
like Jasmine.
They get the freedom of it. And that you kind of see that play out a little bit of how controlled the princess is in this book. So it has a little taste of both. So I think it's just the kind of awe of thinking of someone else's life and how wonderful it might be.
That's true. But then realizing that it's just like your life.
Yeah, exactly. From both. Yeah.
Royals, they're just like us. So tell us about the romance, because both of these books are romances or what have you. So did you find it believable? Like, did you cheer for them as a couple, or were you like, nah?
Nah, don't be a couple. I did. What made me cheer for them was because right away you find Flora and she's kind of very prissy and you don't like her right away. That's the princess. And Millie is very down to earth. I mean, she loves geology. She's as down to earth as it gets. And so, Millie's doing her thing. She's like, I've got this really snooty roommate. Her name is Flora. She finds out she's the princess. And then it's not until like page 172 where she starts to have a crush on her. So it's not as if she falls immediately in love with Flora. If she had, I would have been like, girl, what are you thinking? This is crazy. But it's not vain or anything in that way. It's really more about like she starts to see Flora for who she is. And Flora lets her in a little bit and then they have a sweet romance. And so once it rolled around to that point, we were in it enough to really get to know the characters and I totally cheered for them.
Oh, great. Yeah. That's nice.
It was sweet.
Were there any characters that you were really like loved or cheering for? Like, I think Millie's probably supposed to be like kind of an underdog.
She is, yeah. And I did love her. Flora definitely did not love at the beginning. I also loved Mr. McGregor. He was just funny. He was trying to give away 2 pistols during a race. Like he's like, teacher? They were doing an outward bound type experience where they were going camping out into the wilderness, and whoever was gonna win a big prize. And Mr. McGregor's like, these 2 ancient pistols from blah blah blah, and the other teacher's like, no, it's a gift card to a restaurant down in the town. So he cracked me up too. And I did like the cast of friends. I thought they were all fun.
That's good. Did you ever feel like Millie was selling out as she like...
No, because she's very solidly herself.
Okay.
And she even tells herself, like, I don't want to have a crush on this girl.
But the heart wants.
She did. I know. Oh, it was so cute.
Now, do you want to hop on a plane to the Scottish Highlands after this?
Well, I do because I've been there before.
Were there any kilts involved?
There were a couple, and like the big dinner party scenes.
Love it. How does the setting itself like factor into the story? Did it have to be in Scotland, for the story to work, or could it have really just?
What's interesting is that Rachel Hawkins, the author, style is very practical. And it works for the majority of the story. But the setting didn't feel evocative to me. I mean, maybe it's because I've already been to Scotland. I mean, that place is like, what opens your eyes. So, and they went to the Isle of Skye, which is where I've been camping and we hiked all across it. It's gorgeous. So she'll be very frank about the setting. Like there's big rocky terrain and she'll describe a castle with like old stones and some armor, So it's not giving you a big sense of like, Scotland is this majestic, awe-inspiring place that I want to go to through the details, because that's just not the style of the story.
I see.
And they're not out a whole lot in the Scottish Highlands. They do go camping, and you see it there. There was a really atmospheric scene where they were in an orangery, a place where there were oranges growing inside a castle. And it was lovely. And there was twinkling lights. That felt atmospheric to me. Had a lot of feeling in that
I've heard
scene.
of such a thing.
Yeah, so I liked that part.
Cool.
Yeah, it was kind of neat and lovely and romantic.
Oh, do they dance?
Yes, they did dance because she was trying to teach her how to dance.
Oh my god! Oh my gosh! Classic.
Yeah, it was really cute.
Oh, that sounds cute. Were there any moments that you felt challenged by this story? Not that I think beach reads are usually that challenging, but I mean, maybe a qualifier for being a beach read is that it's engrossing, but just like candy. But I do wonder if there are times that you were questioning your own assumptions or predictions, or if the book surprised you.
Not even a little.
Okay.
It was totally predictable. And I mean, at the end I was like, are they going to really make it? Because realistically, I didn't know if that was going to happen. But there were no surprises, not even a little.
Well, that's the beauty of the
I know. I thought
right?
it was like,
you know it's going to be a happy ending.
Popcorn, bum, 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 and happy, entertaining. And then it was over.
Boom.
And I thought, once it closed it, I was like, oh, that's a really sweet. And
that's
so,
good.
You know, I wasn't like, whoa, that blew my mind. Never saw that coming. But I don't know what the twist would have been.
You can imagine yourself like sitting by the pool.
Yeah.
Flipping pages.
Absolutely.
Getting happy.
Yes.
Reading about an orangery.
In the Scottish Highlands.
Nice.
With two lovely people. So, super consumable.
Excellent.
All right.
Okay.
We did it.
Well, what's up next?
All right, let's do something creepy because we haven't since Halloween. And if it was my choice, it would be Halloween all year.
That's like campfire.
Yes, that's true.
Stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are you going to read?
I am going to read 5 Midnights by Anne de Villa Cardinal.
Awesome. And I am going to read Wilder Girls by Rory Power.
Amazing.
It sounds really cool. If you get a chance to answer our one question from the Jar of Teen Angst, that was, what would you, this is for older people, really. What would you encourage your teen self to do knowing what you know now? And if you're a patron, even if you're a patron and not a librarian, we would absolutely love to hear something cool that you found in the archives.
Yes. Have you been digging around somewhere? We want to know about it.
Family history stuff. Just
even in your house. Like, doesn't have to be at the library.
That's true.
Sometimes you find some like old treasure trove in a basement or in your grandma's closet or something.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
Also, if you have any questions about reading recommendations or library life, please write to us at teentitletalk@gmail.com, and we'll read a few of our listener responses next time.
Thank you for joining us for Teen Title Talk. This podcast is brought to you by the Derry Public Library and Derry-CAM, Derry Community Access Media, empowering independent voices. As always, you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, Google Play, and Player FM. Just search for Teen Title Talk. Don't forget to hit follow so you can hear the latest episode. Our theme was created and performed by Banded Starling. Until next time, bye!